Welcome to the link today, and it's Labor Day, discussing about workers, and our topic is going to be around workers' rights, but as embedded in the law. Tonight we're talking about workman's compensation, and we have a guest who is going to help us understand that area and your rights just in a moment. Welcome back, and my guest tonight is Mr. Paul Kavuma, who is Executive Director for Uganda Insurers Association. Paul, welcome.
Thank you, Sam.
Usually we have a few minutes, so we go right to the point.
Yeah.
There is the Workman's Compensation Law, or Act. What are the rights of the worker under this law?
Okay, like you've cited, the rights of the worker are embedded and anchored in what we call the Workers' Compensation Act.
Yes.
And the rights of the worker basically are an entitlement for cover, compensation cover in the event of an injury while at work. And also it is extended to cover what we call scheduled diseases.
Okay.
These are diseases that a worker is exposed to while at work.
Okay.
I mean, a classic example is maybe bronchitis that you could be exposed to if you're working in a factory of asbestos or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Then in addition to that, a worker is also entitled to a medical expenses benefit that results from an injury, and also incidental costs that result from such an injury.
Okay.
And these ones can include transport to and from hospital. We can also consider special diet in the event that it's required. We can consider spectacles in the event that the eyes are hurt, or artificial limbs in the event that they are required, or a wheelchair or clutches. All those are covered within the incidental costs of this sort of cover.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if a guy is coming from work, he branches on like a joint, and he gets an injury there, not covered?
Yeah, ideally you're not covered, because that is what we call a frolic of your own.
Okay.
It is assumed that you will be covered with a straight journey when you're traveling from home to work, during work, and after your work to home. So we're going to assume a very reasonable time span that's going to take you to get to home or get to work.
Okay.
So if you have a frolic of your own, then I think you take the responsibility and the risk on your chin.
I hope guys are listening. What is the responsibility of an employer under this law, having seen the employee's rights?
Yeah. Now the employer, like I said, I mean, it's all anchored in the law, the Workers' Compensation Act, and it is a requirement by law that all employers must insure their workers.
Okay.
And this is, of course, against accident injury, like I mentioned, scheduled diseases that are going to be acquired, and also these medical benefits that and medical expenses that accrue as a result of the injury or treatment of incidental, occupational diseases, and also the incidental costs that accrue as you're
so
being
basically
treated.
they're the ones who kind of are on the payment side, even though there's insurance.
Ideally, then the workers take on, the employer then takes on the insurance policy, because that is the cushion then the employer has.
Okay.
As our role as insurers is to provide the employer a risk mitigation. He bears the risk, but we mitigate the risk for them.
Okay.
Because then we give the compensation in the event of any incident resulting from an accident.
You said all workers, now they are maids, then they are casual workers. Are those also covered?
Okay, I will first of all deal with the casual workers, because that is an easier field to handle. Casual workers are basically they are an employment force. I'll take an example of a factory, a manufacturing factory. Yeah. They will have the permanent staff, and then they'll have the casuals who are loaders. So what we need to do, what the employer needs to do, is to declare the permanent and the casuals, and then also declare their earnings. So it is mandated for the employer to actually insure them, even the casuals, under the same rights that the permanent employees will have. So now on the domestic help that we have, the law states, who's also a worker, the law states that all employees must be insured. So the moral obligation between me and you is to ensure that our house help at home also has some sort of cover. And as insurance, we have what we call the domestic package, which basically covers, the main item of cover is property damage to your house, then your contents. It also has an extension for public liability in the event that you have a dog and it strays and bites a neighbor, you'll be covered for that. And we have a specific extension to cover your domestic help. Okay. And the same benefits that we actually provide under workers' compensation policy will be the same benefits that will be required to be covered for your domestic help.
Okay.
So it is our moral obligation
to take care of those people
as people who make use of this house help,
yeah,
to make sure that they're also covered. Because primarily or ultimately, the responsibility lies with you.
Okay.
In the event that she suffers an accident while she's on, on a shopping spree for you.
Yes.
And she could take up a case with the Labour Department. And the Labour Department certainly will have their pangs on you.
Okay.
So you're better off having this cover.
You talked about the Labour office earlier as we were having a chat. What's the role in this equation, this whole thing? Okay,
the line ministry who are the custodians of the Workers' Compensation Act is the Ministry of Labour.
Yes.
And they have what we call the Labour officers. The Labour officers are quite instrumental in terms of guidance, in terms of what the claims process is like. And if we kickstart on the process of a claim,
yeah,
I would probably jump right into that now.
Yeah.
In the event that you're injured as an employee, you're mandated to report to your employer, and through your employer then reports to the Labour office. Okay. So it should all happen within a reasonable time. But of course it depends on the magnitude of injury. Yeah. You could be encumbered, like you don't have means of communication. You say you're way up country, and your home office, is in town. So you could have that encumbrance of reporting. But as long as at the next best opportunity, you ought to report. Okay. Now, the Labour office is quite key in this, because the compensation papers that are submitted constitute what we call LD Form 3185, LD Form 3135 and 87. 3 forms? Yeah, 3 forms. Now, primarily, Form 31 requires that you complete the details of your personal details. Okay. And then also requires that the doctor has a section under which they describe the nature of injuries that are suffered, and of course they give a caption on the extent of incapacity that has been suffered. Okay. Both temporary and permanent. And it's against which that you submit to get 35 and 87, okay, which then constitute the final compensation that will be awarded. That will be then these are then taken to the insurance company for review and verification, and then it's against these forms that the insurance will compensate. Okay. So the Labour officer is very, very key in this process. What if I get injured but my employer did not do anything about it? Am I at loss? You are not at loss, because by law your employer is required to have insurance for you. Okay. Because then that is when you go to the Labour officer, and that's when the Labour officer is very, very key. And in such a situation, it is then assumed that the employer did self-insurance. It is rare. It's not rare that yes, we have what employers could have a captive arrangement, yes, where they set money aside for eventualities like those. So then the Labour officer again is a very key person in this, very pivotal in this, and then they'll help you pursue your claim with the employer. Yes. We want to move on to something slightly different, almost related. Dealing with this animal or element called salary loans. Yes. Every time you get a salary loan from a bank, it includes some amount for insurance, some percentage. Yes. What does this insurance cover? Okay, the salary loan is covered against what we call credit life. Okay. And like the name suggests, it is a life cover against the credit that you have with the bank. Yes. So ideally, at any one time, as you're paying the loan, you have a credit balance. So that insurance is meant to cover that balance. Okay. How? So can you break it down a little bit? How does it cover it? So it covers it in the event that you're not able to pay. I'm not able to pay. For whatever reason. And those reasons must be embedded in the credit life policy. One is death, unfortunate death. Yeah. Certainly you've demised, you can't pay. Yeah. You've suffered a very severe accident. You're incapacitated, let's say 20-30%, in that it inhibits your ability to earn. You cannot pay, you cannot earn and earn a salary. So you're literally bedridden. So it comes into that sort of situation. Okay. Then a layoff as well is one other situation. Abscondment from duty, no. that I know has been a huge debate. Yes. And I know the life companies have been compelled to consider it. But that is a moral obligation now. Insurance if I absconded on my own. Yes, then insurance will not cover moral issues. Yeah. But at least we are certain that if it is a circumstance under death or injury, or even illness, or natural causes, basically, that inhibit you to pay, then the credit life will pay. So that is the insurance component that you see on your loan. And I can say it is a very good cushion. Those are some of the instances that we as insurers are so silent about that we do not pronounce ourselves. But if you got the statistics of the people who have failed to pay loans, you'll be amazed at how insurance has actually mitigated
stepped in.
Yes, for the banks. To try and recover those loans.
One last element.
Yes.
Very interesting one. When somebody loses a job, normally if you owe the bank, they will give you 1 year. They will leave you alone for 1 year. And I know insurance covers that one, if I'm not wrong. But after that 1 year, when I get another job, they will come back and demand that I pay also for that 1 year when insurance paid. How come? It's
basically a period of grace that you've been given. I mean, losing a job is one of the most unfortunate things. Imagine a situation whereby you have just acquired the loan. It's a 2-year loan, and you're 4 months into payment, and you lose the job. Certainly, it's going to have all sorts of issues with your life. It creates unnecessary distress and all that. So that is when the insurance comes in and gives you that cushion for 1 year. So it is assumed that after 1 year, you will have regrouped and reorganized yourself to get back into employment because you're able-bodied. So then it is your moral obligation as the borrower of the money to try and strive to see that you can actually meet your obligations with the bank, because the insurance has actually mitigated stopgap for you for that 1 year. So you do not expect it to have a stretch. Yes. So it is up to you to actually, get back onto your feet so that you can mitigate your losses further.
Your last word in 30 seconds, Mr. Paul Kavuma.
Insurance is quite intriguing, I must say. We're struggling with creating the right awareness. But I can say that we are carrying home a message as insurers that the public, we need to be sensitive to the public and what the public needs. And what we're trying to do our utmost now is to try and outlay the benefits. Good enough, we have a very, very robust regulator. We have what we call market conduct practice now. The instances of mis-selling.
Discipline.
Discipline, mis-selling are now governed by law. So instances of buying what you did not want, whereby we are hiding under fine print, is not an excuse anymore. Actually, if you notice, all insurance policies now are in font 15. So we're not hiding under the fine print anymore.
I agree with you, Paul.
So what I would urge the public to do is to make sure you engage your underwriter to the full extent possible, your agent, your broker. Just
so you know what you're dealing with.
So that you know what you're dealing with. You will certainly realize the benefit.
Thank you so much, Paul. Time flies. The 15 minutes are finished.
Thank you. Thank you very much,
so
for
viewer,
this opportunity.
If you're a worker, you've had. Ask your employer whether they have insured you. And if they have not, ask them why they have not. And in case you feel aggrieved, the Labour Office exists. That was the link tonight, and thank you for joining us.